Hey, it's Heidi. Welcome back for another video. We are going to answer the question today, how to help your loved one have a successful recovery. I am going to jam pack this session today for you full of practical, tangible, tactile advice that you can actually implement and apply right now today. Now, having said that, I know that the things that I'm going to tell you to do, some of them are going to be harder than others. I get that. I also understand that sometimes we need help implementing what we know we need to do. And so that's why I encourage you, if you want more help applying the things that I'm going to tell you today, that you go over to lovecoachheidi.com and consider our group coaching container and program that we have specifically designed for people just like you that are dealing with addiction and codependency issues in your relationship and in your life. Okay, it's a program tailor-made for you. Now, having said that, we're going to dive right into today. It might be a little bit all over the place, but I just want to riff. I didn't really come prepared with everything I want to say today because I really wanted to allow things to flow. I could forget some things. That's definitely possible. And if that's the case, well then, hey, we just make another video, right? If you're new here, I just want to take a minute and say welcome. Welcome home. I'm really glad that you found me, and hopefully you find a safe space here where you can get the education, the insight, the awareness, the inspiration, the motivation, the encouragement that you need to untether and untangle from all dysfunctional, codependent relationship behavior patterns so that you can have the life, love, and relationships that you truly deserve, because that's my deepest heart's desire for you, so that we can heal the planet one healed person at a time. We can end the cycles of child abuse and dysfunction that stem from growing up in addicted households. And that's my big mission on the planet. And isn't it so cool that you're here and you're a part of it? I'm so glad you are. So let's say you have worked your ever-loving butt off to get your loved one into treatment, and they finally agree. Dun, da, da, ah, hallelujah. The C's part, everybody's like elated, and we can make the mistake of actually thinking, and this is one of the first mistakes we make, is thinking, oh my gosh, they're cured. Thank God, treatment's going to fix them. Now, I just want to open this whole discussion up by letting you know that treatment doesn't do a damn thing other than give your loved one the opportunity to see things clearly enough so that they can begin to work on their lives. Because drugs and alcohol were the solution to medicate a problem that's been there long before addiction has. So it gives them a chance to take a look at their lives, to sober up, to come from this part of the mind that's been asleep for so long, so that they can take a long, hard look at their life and see what needs to change and fix. And that's a long road for many people. Treatment is a starting point. It's not an end game. Decisions help people start in treatment, but discipline helps them finish in recovery. I hate when people say, read that again. I'll say that again. But I really think that's really good. So let's go ahead and say it again. Okay. The decisions to get well starts with treatment, but the discipline to stay well happens when they get out and they pursue their recovery. All right. So decisions help you start. Discipline helps them finish. Now, what are some things that you should know when your loved one gets into treatment? Now, this is from my almost 8 years of experience working inside of one of the world's leading drug and alcohol treatment centers, where I helped thousands of clients and hundreds of families with the codependency program I ran there and the family program that I ran with my husband. So I've seen, basically, you can imagine, I've seen it all, okay, in those 8 years. I mean, tremendous amount of suffering, struggling, and recovery. And it was a blessing to be able to be a part of that experience. But that wisdom that I carry and that knowledge and that plethora of experience is your gain, because I'm going to tell you things that are not based on personal opinion. They are based on what I've seen work and not work over the years and years that I was inside of that treatment center. And these are the pretty much standard things that you can expect across the board that if you implement will be super helpful. So number one, you've worked so hard to get them there. When they are in detox, now most places are not going to give your loved one their phone in detox because they should be detoxing, not on their phone, right? Heaven forbid they should get their phone in detox. I do not want you to take the call. In fact, make it known to them that I'll speak to you once you get settled into your treatment after detox. But you're not going to speak with them in detox at all. And I know that's really hard for you because you want to make sure how they doing. Are they doing okay? What's going on with them? But I want you to know, talking to you while they're in detox makes them triggered up and helps them, you run the risk of being manipulated into taking them out of treatment because they're going to be uncomfortable. No brainer, right? It's going to be uncomfortable, right? No matter how comfortable you try to make it, nobody really wants to be in detox. So you're going to get the call that's like, oh my God, this place is terrible. I don't know. It's like old school 80s phone, but oh my God, this place is terrible. Rescue me, get me out of here. It's horrible. And it could be the best place in the world, but they will attempt to manipulate you to get them out of there. So that's why you just don't want to have any communication with them at all. They're focusing on just surviving that first couple of days, 7 days, whatever it is. You should also know that if treatment does not follow detox immediately, you are spinning your wheels. Detox is not a form of treatment. Detox is a pit stop, is the first step on the road to treatment. Detox is not treatment. Those are two totally different things. Really important for you to know. So if they just go to detox and come home, that is a relapse waiting to happen. That is a guaranteed fail. All right. So we're going to need to put some efforting into recovering to treatment next. So ideally how it works is they go into a detox and they have an experience where it's hopefully a safe medical detox if they need that, and then they move into the treatment phase of their program. Now, intensive inpatient treatment or outpatient treatment, depending upon where they were at. If they're moving into intensive outpatient, sometimes they're not necessarily even going to need a detox. I know it's a lot of information. Take what applies. Don't get overwhelmed. I already know. I can sense it. You're like, oh my God, this is like, oh shit. Let me get my notebook. Look, my notebook looks like this, just so we can put things into perspective. This is my notebook, okay? This is my note. Look, did you see that Trapper Keeper? Old school. These are notes. These are tabbed out things that I've learned and studied because I'm a student of life. This isn't something you're going to watch one video and you're going to be like, oh my God, yeah, I got it all. No, watch this video several times. In fact, that's why I encourage you to join my program called Life School, which stands for Love Yourself First Empowerment School, because you get access to all this information, live weekly coaching with me in a small group setting where I can hear and interact with you, and private meeting as well with me so that I can get inside and help you. But also you get access to this recorded information that is at your fingertips in a library where you can go, what did she say about this? Oh, there it is. What is this? Okay. So I just want to encourage you, go to lovecoachheidi.com if you're curious about that, but let's keep going. Okay. So once they're in treatment, what should contact look like? How much should you support them? What's enabling in treatment and what's not enabling? Should you send them cigarettes? Should you send them money? You know, all these questions that we get asked. And so here's the deal. When they're in treatment, it's important to know, what kind of a relationship did you have going in? Was it a strained relationship going in? Were you on the verge of divorce when they were heading into treatment? If that's the case, then I want to encourage you to keep, it doesn't matter how connected you think you are with your family member. I want you to try to keep communication with your loved one down to once a week. Why? Because I have found over the course of almost a decade working inside that treatment center that once a week is about all we can manage. Once a week gives us enough to chew on in therapy, gives us enough to process. We're not hijacking you on the phone for hours. If you're my support system in therapy, let's say that you're my husband, okay, and I'm your wife and I'm in treatment, or you're my wife and I'm your wife in treatment, whatever, what have you. And I'm calling you and I'm going, oh, honey, let me talk to you about what, even if we have a great relationship, I'm like, honey, let me tell you what happened today. I'm processing everything. Oh, here's what I learned about myself today. Here's what a couple things are going to happen. Even if that's a great conversation, who am I not talking to? Who am I not talking to when I'm talking to you? I'm not talking to my therapist. I'm not talking to my peers. I'm not talking in groups. I'm saving all that to dump on you. And you might feel really good. You'd be like, oh, this feels absolutely fantastic. And I'm getting so much information and I feel part of their recovery. But you are not the recovery plan. And you should not be the recovery plan. You should not be the support person for your loved one to get well. You should be the wife, not my therapist, not my coach, not my sponsor. You should be the wife. Let the other people be my support team, because when they get out, you don't want to be the therapist and coach and sponsor and support system. You want them to develop it. And if you lead with that while they're in treatment, you say, honey, you know what? That sounds like a great conversation for your therapist. I encourage you to talk about that in group. We're going to talk about, keep it light, talk about some other things that have nothing to do with this other stuff, okay? Because the other reason is if you get attached to what they're telling you. One week they're going to say, oh my gosh, that's the best thing. I could call you or my wife or my husband and I'm going to say, oh, I've had the best time ever. This is so great. And the next week, guess what's going to happen? This place is a shit show. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing here. I need you to get me out of here. I thought they were doing great, but my therapist, not even sure she graduated from high school. These people are not my people. I'm surrounded by a bunch of kids that do drugs that I've never even heard of. I'm just learning how to be a good drug addict in treatment. In fact, I'm not learning how to do anything at all. These are really not my people. And then I panic, or you panic on the other end. And what do? Start making arrangements to find me a better place, looking up the credentials of the treatment center. You start to Google everything because you fall into it. And you're going to get on that ride with your loved one while they're in treatment. And that's not your ride to go on, my love. That's their ride to go on. So when they're in treatment, let them go on the roller coaster and you sit on the sidelines and you tend to the family or work or business or your own personal care, your own personal recovery plan while they're there, and you try not to stress yourself out, okay? So some really important points. The next thing I want you to tell you is, just because I want you to have a conversation once a week or keep it light, I also don't want you to stay away from tough conversations that you need to have. And I don't want you to save those conversations for when they get out of treatment, right? Well, I'm thinking about getting divorced, but I think I'm going to tell him once he gets out of treatment. That's really not the time. If there was ever a good time to have a tough conversation, it's while your loved one is surrounded by therapists. You dig? All right. If there was ever a tough time, if there was ever a good time to have a tough time, it's while they're in treatment, because they're surrounded by a treatment team, a team of support that's going to be able to help them process whatever bad news you're prepared to deliver. So if you're thinking about getting divorced, or hell, you even know you're going to get divorced, why not tell them while they're in treatment? Have a family session. Do that with a therapist. Hey, here's just so you know, when you come out, because here's what they're thinking. They're like a dog wagging a tail that just bit you, and now they forgot. Like a dog has no memory. They literally are like, I'm all cured. I'm in treatment. Hallelujah. The family's going to be better. We're all going to be together. This is going to be fantastic. And you're over here going, honey, I don't even know if I want to be married to you anymore. I don't even want to know if I want you back in the house. In fact, I haven't felt peace like this since I've never felt peace like this before when you're in treatment. And this is a good feeling, and I want to keep it. And I don't want you to come home. Those are conversations that you want to have with the therapist while they're in treatment so that they can process it, and also so that you're not being gaslit. I know you're being manipulated 5 ways till Tuesday. I know that you are, and every time they call you and you have bad news to deliver, they're going to put it on you that, you're making them struggle, you're making it harder, they're going to leave treatment because you're giving this bad news. The only reason that they were in treatment was for you, and now you're saying you don't know if you want to be with them, so they don't know if they want to be in treatment. These are very standard, very common things that your loved one will say when they're in treatment. And you'll say, you know what? I hear that you're having a hard time deciding to stay in treatment. Sounds like a good conversation for your therapist. I'm going to let you guys talk about that now. Now, you might be listening to me and you might say, wow, that's a cold stone girl there. That's a cold stone woman. How does she? Because when somebody is manipulating you, they feed off of your emotion. They feed off of that, especially if you have somebody who's on the narcissistic side of the spectrum, and addiction is where that lives. P.S. It looks like narcissism. So when you're all hot and emotional, that's when they have more access to you. So if you can kind of go gray stone, we call that, right? Or just kind of like neutral and little emotion as possible, then you want to get yourself into that space where you're able to communicate with them. Now, again, in my program, I give you the words. You can text me and I'll tell you the text to send, and that's very valuable. A lot of my clients say to me, man, I wish I just could have you around in my pocket, or a little tape recorder of you. But here's the crazy thing. After you let me come alongside of you and mentor you personally, you do start to think differently. You find yourself saying stuff that you never would have imagined you would have said before. And you're like, oh my God, I guess it's taken root. Right? And that's what I want. I don't want you to rely on me forever. I want what I mentor you on to take root in you so that you can kind of transform the way you're thinking and interacting with your loved one. All right. So keeping conversations to a minimum once a week with the therapist, not afraid to bring up the tough conversations with the therapist. Kind of if they're contacting the children and that's upsetting you in your family dynamic, you want to make sure that you have conversations with your children about it and say, hey, are you talking to dad? How's that making you feel? What do you need from me? How can I support you? We're not bashing the parent that's in recovery, but we're offering a safe place for the kids to talk about it while they're in recovery. Your kids need to be able to talk about what's going on. Okay, they need to be able to express to you their feelings. And if not you, then hey, an Alateen meeting, a therapist, somewhere where they can go to be able to process what's happening with them and how they're feeling about all this massive change that's going on. So what's ideal? What is, for the friends that know me, there's the cuckoo clock, like clockwork. Okay. There's always an interruption, an airplane, a clock. What was it in the last video? It was thunderstorm. One day it was the rain. And it was the sun in the last one. That's right. Just wouldn't be a video without an interruption. But hey, the show must go on, right? We must deliver the news that we need to deliver. It's weird if you can't hear that, and I'm dancing to nothingness right now. Okay, so let's say what's ideal. What is an ideal treatment recovery plan look like? How would you supposed to know what they're supposed to be doing? So I'm going to give you the ideal. Now, this is ideal. Okay, this isn't like for everybody to go this way. And as I say this, there are many, many roads to Rome, many ways to get better. But here's a rough outline of how this thing should go down. Step 1 is a detox. A safe medical detox where they can go in. We already talked about that, where you have no contact with them and they're just focusing on cleaning up. Okay. Especially for alcoholics, you might be like, well, theirs is not like a drug addict. Mine's just like a functioning alcoholic. Well, honey, it's more dangerous for an alcoholic to detox on their own without a medical detox than it is for a heroin addict. Okay. It's very dangerous for an alcoholic not to have a detox. And if you have somebody in your life and they're successful and you just want to hide it and you try to do that shit at home, please stop. Certainly send me an email and I can direct you. Okay. Because people die that way. All the time. All right. So, having said that, back to what we're talking about. After the safe medical detox, ideally, how long should your loved one be in treatment? What's the ideal? Well, if we listen to like the movies, it's 28 days, right? Ideally, for somebody to get well, we recommend 90 days of treatment. 3 months of treatment. I know that seems like a long time, but that's the recommendation. And here's why. Most relapses actually occur on day 28. And why is that? After about a month into treatment, there's this pink cloud, right? People are feeling really great. They're especially if they get a hold of recovery, they're feeling really awesome. And they start to feel like, I'm better. My life is transformed. But they haven't hit any hard roads. They haven't started to, with 3 months, you're going to have some life thrown at you. You're going to have some situations. You're going to run into boredom. You're going to run into repetitiveness. You're going to run into nobody celebrating. There's no parade. Like my girlfriend says, like, where's the fucking parade? I made it 90 days. There is no celebration. It's like, can they maintain sobriety with life as life's coming at them throughout those 90 days, even when things are repetitive, even when things are boring, in real life, AKA. All right. So 90 days has the best success, all right, the longer they're in there. Now, after treatment, what we used to tell our families, especially the ones with children in recovery, is home is the last place they should go after treatment. And our parents would be like, well, of course they want to come home. I've got their bed all made. If you watched my fixer video, you all know how I went to work and redid my whole entire house so that my dad wouldn't relapse when he came out of treatment. Maybe you've done that as well. I'll try to link that video. I've got to get better at learning how to do that. Okay. But basically, home should be the last place. Why? You're not a damn treatment center. You're not a sponsor. You're not a recovery coach. You're not a life coach. You're not a therapist. And even if you are too close. You are ill-equipped for that situation. So they should be going into a halfway house situation. A halfway house is where they learn how to be in life, go to work every day, do their thing, and come home and still be sober. And people go into halfway for 6 months to a year sometimes. sometimes before they learn how to integrate back into life. If somebody's been using drugs or alcohol for a long period of time and they're like, oh my God, are you kidding me? 90 days in treatment? That's ridiculous. That's forever. Well, honey, you've been torturing yourself and everybody else for goddamn 10 years. You think 30 days or 90 days is too much? Help me understand that. But time gets construed, in our minds. And again, you're not going to tell your loved one, you're going to go away for 90 days because Heidi told me that that's the best treatment. So you're going to go 90 days here, and do not share this information. This is for us. This is for me and you. It's not supposed to go out to your loved one. Your loved one, we just want to say, we'll just go into detox and we'll take it from there. That's what you say. You know what? We don't want to talk about the future. We don't want to talk about how long you need to be there. We just want you to get in and get settled, and we'll take it from there. In fact, when loved ones call you and say, how much longer do I have to be in here before you trust me again? And they have these conversations, you say, well, what does your therapist think? How are you doing in your program? Let's have a meeting with your therapist and talk about your progress and see what they think and when they think you're ready. It's not when I think you're ready or you think you're ready. It's when your clinical team thinks you're ready. And guess what? When I worked in treatment, we had a triage of therapists, PhDs, and coaches like myself. Well, I was the only coach. Anyway, but we had a big old treatment team, and we sat around and say, hey, where are they at in their treatment? Do they need more time, less time? Where are they at? So this is a clinical team deciding that, not you and not them. So limited treatment, how long that should look. You're the last place they should go. When they come out of treatment, you're in there thinking about, now here's the deal. When they get out, that's when recovery and real life begins. So treatment doesn't fix anybody. I know it's a longer video today, but we have so much to talk about, me and you. But treatment is just the beginning. All right. When they get out of treatment is when they get into life. And that's when they get on their recovery plan. And whose job is that for them to figure out? It ain't yours. If you're Googling meetings and you're writing down the meeting schedule and you're going to drive them and pick them up and do all the business, you're already working too hard. You're not in recovery. They are. You are in recovery, hopefully, with my recovery program from codependence, which is what you need to be doing while they're in treatment. You need to come into my recovery program for you so that you can understand addiction and untether your codependence, right? That's what life school is. Again, come on in, okay? Come over to lovecoachheidi.com. Seriously, send me a message so we can get you in that program. Why am I hammering that? Because the truth is, when they get home, they should be pouring their heart and soul into recovery. And this is going to feel bad for many of you at first. It's like, man, before you went into treatment, I felt alone because you were using drugs or alcohol and isolating, and it was just me. And now that you're better, you're still not here because you're at meetings all the time. But that's how it should look. It should look like recovery is the new mistress. It should look like recovery has taken the place of addiction. So as much time as they spend on their addiction is as much time they should be spending on their recovery. Amen? So you're going to feel lonely, and you're going to have to deal with all those feelings of resentment and rage and loneliness and pissed offness and all those hurt and all that feeling stuff. Where do you go with that? Well, you can't go to the source of the pain to fix the pain, as I always say. You can't go to the source of the pain to fix the pain, so you have to get your own support while they're healing, you're healing too. And then we were codependent, right? We were in each other's bullshit. I'm co-signing your addiction and you're addicted and da-da-da-da-da. They go into treatment, you go into recovery. That's independence. We work our independent recovery programs, and then guess what we do? Now we're interdependent. Ooh, feels so good. You're bringing your sauce. I'm bringing my sauce, and it is a special sauce soup, and we're love, and it's fantastic, and we love it. It's so good. But if they're out doing their work and you're not doing any work, you're going to be behind. You're going to be stuck. Okay? And you know that to be true. You probably outgrown a lover once or twice in your life where you did a bunch of growing and they stayed stuck and you're like, oh, well, that's that, okay? So you both want to be growing. You both want to be learning. Now, some other things, warning signs that you should know that they're probably not going to be successful when they get out of treatment. When they're in treatment, they're going to tell you everything they need to know. I used to be able to look at a client and tell you how they were going to do on the outside because I see how they do on the inside. How you do one thing is how you do all things, okay? And in treatment, if they're calling you and they're like saying things like, you're my wife or you're my husband, I'm calling you and I'm going, Oh my God, this place absolutely sucks. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing here. There's a bunch of incompetent people. I could run the groups better than they could run the groups. My therapist is an idiot. She has no idea what she's doing. My doctor has not even sat with me. I haven't been diagnosed yet. I mean, I'd like to get a diagnosis. My meds are all screwed up and nobody knows what they're doing. And to mention, the groups are just repetitive. We played Hangman the other day, for crying out loud. We played a game in group. Are you kidding me? Did I come to group to play checkers and drool on myself? Like, what the fuck am I doing here? And you're like, Heidi, I've heard that conversation. Holy shit, that sounds familiar. Well, that's a sign that they are not doing well. And some of it, even though some of it might be true, maybe there is a little bit of incompetence because let's face it, the world is full of it, okay? Maybe there is a little bit of drooling that goes on because I'm bored because I've heard this lecture for the 14th time. Okay. But all I'm hearing is blame. Okay, blaming other people and hearing no personal responsibility. So if you get a call that goes like this, oh my God, my therapist is incompetent. She doesn't meet with me on time. She does absolutely nothing. So I decided to have a conversation to advocate for myself so that I could get a different therapist while I'm in treatment. Oh my God, the group is so boring. We were playing Hangman. So I had 5 suggestions of something else we could do in group. Okay, so I'm not saying they're not supposed to have any problems. I'm saying, does a solution follow that problem? Does a sense of personal responsibility follow that problem? Because if it's all blame game with no end game and no responsibility game, then I'm in the wrong game. Okay, I'm going to lose the game of life. I'm going to lose. I am not going to be successful because I am not advocating for myself. So if you hear that message and they're singing that song to you, I want you to rap right back at them and say, you know what, sounds like a great opportunity for you to advocate for yourself. Sounds like a great opportunity for you to advocate for a new therapist. Sounds like a great opportunity for you to stick up for yourself for your medication. Sounds like a great opportunity for you to be a squeaky wheel. You know, I guarantee you that when people are in treatment, they get what they need, and especially if they are asking for what they need, and it's not your job to do it. And you might be tempted, well, let me get on the phone and call that therapist and tell them what for and see where they, and feel them out myself, and let me talk to the doctor. And I've had those calls, trust me, where the parents are calling the treatment center to make sure that Johnny got his nighttime meds. That's a relapse waiting to happen. Why? Whose responsibility is it to take the fucking meds? Johnny's. And if Johnny doesn't learn how to take his own meds, he's never going to get better. Okay? So, can you tell that I get very hot around this topic? I'm passionate about it. Why am I so passionate about it? Because I've seen people get well. I have seen thousands of clients get better from addiction. Don't believe that nobody ever gets better and nobody recovers. I've seen thousands of people recover. And who have I seen recover? Those that take personal responsibility and accountability for their recovery. Those who take responsibility, not the moms who are coddling, not the wives who are mothering, not the dads, not the husbands who are fathering, but the partners who allow the people to be responsible, the parents who allow the children to grow the fuck up and take responsibility for their own lives and their own recovery. Those are the success stories. And where the failure happens are the people who get lost in the cracks, that don't take the responsibility, who get coddled into, more people die in the back bedrooms of their parents' house, overdosed with a belly full of meatloaf, okay, feeling really good with fresh, clean laundry, all right, than homeless on the streets every year. Why? Because when I'm home and you're cooking me meatloaf and washing my clothes, all I have to do is get high. Do you understand? I know it's counterintuitive because you're such a loving person. You're such a caring, kind, want to help, want to save your life of your loved one. But I'm going to tell you, the way that you help somebody save their life is to make their life theirs, not yours. You give them the power to change their own lives by believing in them. That's what you can do. You can say to them on the phone when they call you and say, man, everything sucks here. Honey, I believe in you to make it right. Honey, I believe in your ability to advocate for yourself. Honey, I'm rooting for you to stand up for yourself. Honey, I believe you can come up with a new group idea. Babe, I believe you can be bored and still get something new and hear something different for the first time. Honey, I'm praying for you. I'm rooting for you. I'm believing in you. I'm holding space for you. I'm holding light and candles and whatever. You get it. Okay. Ooh, okay. Wow, that was a lot. That was almost 30 minutes worth of stuff. How are you feeling? Do you feel like I threw a grenade and it went off and you're like in the smoke of it and you're like, oh, wow. It's a lot of information. That is why I have the program that I have, so that you can digest it in bite sizes and then come to group and ask questions about it and send me emails and have access to me personally in our private session where you can ask questions and I give you all my undivided attention and it's worth it. It's worth it. No, it is an investment. Okay. It's not for everybody, obviously. That's what this is for. If you're not in a good financial position, then don't do that. Just watch the videos that are free and watch them again and again. But if you can make the investment in yourself to upgrade that experience to having me in your life personally, where I get to know you personally and we are communicating with each other and in each other's space, then do it. Do not hold back. Go over to lovecoachheidi.com and schedule that appointment. Okay. I love you. Take excellent care, and I'll see you in another video. Like the video, subscribe to the video, share the video with your friends. It helps us help more people. And let me know what else you want me to do. You can always request a topic. You can comment below and ask your questions. And maybe we'll do a live stream and answer some of those questions that you have. But the real way to get your questions answered is to come inside my program, because then you have my brain. Just you, dedicated to you. Okay. All right. I love you. Take great care. And I'm seeing if I have lipstick on my teeth. One time I did a video and I had blazing red lipstick the entire time. You're making a video. You're not staring at yourself. I mean, at least I hope not. How stupid, right? We've all seen that. People are like obsessed, but I just let it rip. And then I watch it back and I go, well, that's a look. Okay. I love you. Take great care. I'll see you really soon. Okay.